Hey guys, good Monday morning, October 7th, just a little after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Michael Clark here with BAMWX.com with your latest on Major Hurricane Milton and its impacts here as it continues to head towards Florida's west coast. Some of the latest flight observations showing that this is already a high-end Category 4, soon to be any moment Category 5 hurricane as it takes its trek through the Gulf of Mexico. This is the latest here from the flight level aircraft recon, if you will. And one thing we look at here that I'll be honest had a little bit of uncertainty on exactly what this meant here. But this here registered 140 knots at a surface peak wind speed. And we looked at this SFMR. So I wanted to pull that up and really talk about it. It is the stepped frequency microwave radiometer. And what this is essentially is it's an antenna that extends down from the aircraft recon's propellers, and extends down to basically come up with a surface wind estimation. All right. It says here the SFMR has a downward pointing antenna which passively reads the microwave radiation coming from the ocean surface by making assumptions about the vertical structure of the atmosphere together with sea surface temperature measurements, and they can come up with these surface peak wind speeds. That right now would indicate 160 miles per hour. Not only that, the pressure has fallen almost to an even 940 millibars. And so something I think that is critical right now that we should talk about is, I think we should talk about how strong this can actually get. What is the ceiling here? And the ceiling is that if we get down to it, what we call its maximum potential intensity, there's a limit to how strong hurricanes can get. In this case, it's probably about 170 knots or 195 miles per hour with pressure just above 900 millibars. So just really something just absolutely terrifying and fascinating to think about. This is a look here at satellite this morning. All right. This is a look at just its organization. You can see right now it's kind of following forecast guidance. It's moving along as it should. It should start to turn northeast a little bit before it kind of touches the northern part here of the Yucatan. You can see as it does so, I want to go and show you this right here. This is a plot from Berg's website here, and you can kind of see the forecast trajectory for it to keep going southeast and then to just miss here, just miss the land, right? And start to make its trek northeast. And there's a pretty tight agreement in that regard. And you can see it's really good agreement until about right here. And there's a reason for this as we start to see the spread with where Milton's going to go. And it really has a lot to do with a trough up into the south central U.S. that I want to talk about here in just a moment. I saw this tweet moments ago from Brian Bennett at Weather Brian. You can follow him on X there. You can see his user account in the top right. But this was a fascinating just output of all the different potential landfall locations right now as we sit about 60 hours out from landfall. All right, you can see just the differences here. Right now, that red dot is where the National Hurricane Center is anticipating landfall to be. And I think if you're just splitting things down the middle, you're probably looking at the St. Pete, Tampa area for landfall right now. The hurricane models are northwest of that, okay, up into the Clearwater area. So just something to keep in mind. We do have 3 sets of data supporting a Category 4 landfall intensity, and I don't see any reason to go against that or disagree with that for the time being. We are really on the fence between is it a 3 or is it a 4 at landfall. A 4 is obviously highly possible. This is the official National Hurricane Center forecast track. And again, we are just a tick north and a little bit stronger probably. You can see the latest model forecast tracks for Milton. And again, you can see the split here in the data. All right, it's remarkable. Now, all of these up here, these are hurricane models. And they're all north of the Hurricane Center's forecast. And so that's why I want to stress and preface there's still uncertainty here as to exactly where landfall happens. Now, regardless of where it happens, it's the impacts in that area, north-south by 50 miles, are going to be really, really hard to comprehend. You don't want to be in the way. You want to get out of there. But that's why I just want to preface. I mean, yes, landfall does matter, but regardless, even if you're close by, it's still going to be a really horrible situation. So don't get too hung up on if you are in the eye of landfall yet or not. If you're on the west coast of Florida in this area, you just need to be ready. So I want to talk about a couple hindering factors that may limit, may help landfall in terms of intensity. It may not allow it to be as strong. Hopefully, there are a couple things. There's two things our team's watching that could possibly allow for this to start to weaken dramatically as it gets close to land. That's the hope right now, but the fear is that this hurricane becomes so powerful, strong, so organized so quickly, it may not. The only thing that might weaken it is interaction with land. The drier air and the shear just may not be enough at this point in time, but I want to show you what I mean by this. These browns this is dry air wrapping into Milton, and it's kind of pulling it in on the south side of this. You can see as it gets closer to land here, by Wednesday evening, what you note is it's trying to pull in this dry air on the southwest side of it, and which should start to help weaken it. Now, still noting a 949 center of pressure at landfall Wednesday night. That's still Category 4 potential. Okay, that's still going to offer the potential for a Category 4 hurricane at this time. The question is going to be is how much dry air can it wrap into itself as it gets there? The trend in the forecast overall has been to try and do this. And that's why I think the models are weakening it so quickly as it gets close to land. But again, the model intensity forecasts have been struggling immensely. They're way underdone right now. They're way underdone. They're missing the buck big time on how strong Milton currently is versus what the models say they should be. So that's also something that we really have to keep in mind. The other thing that this is going to come into contact and battle with is wind shear. Okay, we are going to be looking at the potential of wind shear at least impacting how organized and strong it can be. Now, I will tell you with major hurricanes like Helene, like Michael, we saw environments that had shear like this, and it didn't matter. It continued to progress into Category 4, Category 5 hurricanes at landfall. So again, we want to hope that it can work against the intensity of the hurricane as it touches land. But as of right now, we kind of have reason to believe that we're hoping this works. We're hoping it weakens it, but it's probably not going to all that much. The model that has been the best here in terms of just the consistency in the track is the HAFSA, which is one of the high resolution Hurricane Center's forecast models for they special run when you have hurricanes. It has been very, very consistent with where it wants to put it. And note, it's been north of the Hurricane Center's forecast track all along. That is something that certainly I want to point out. This is the Hurricane Center's forecast track. And you can see its latest run here, its latest forecast, has come back north a little bit. In fact, I don't think the latest one's even in here just yet, as it's a little north of Sarasota now, probably in the Bradenton area. All right, but note what this model has done with its intensity forecast. This is where it's kind of saying, where the model believes that it can go in terms of how strong it can get. And what I want to point your attention to is you're getting into a high end, or well, there's not a higher end, but a solid Category 5 hurricane here based on the model run. And then you see its sharp decline here. Its sharp decline, this is Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. And you can see where we're seeing the weakening. The issue is, this is when the model ran this morning, its intensity, and this is where its intensity is now. So you can just kind of see how the models are really struggling with getting the intensity forecast correct, especially initializing. They're just too slow. That makes us concerned with what we're going to see at landfall. Okay, this is a look here at the GFS model on the left and the European model on the right. I can tell you the GFS has taken a lot of heat this week from some of the experts in the industry, thinking, well, it's too far northwest, it's too far north, it's gonna correct. And now what's happened is the European model has started to kind of catch up to it. They're both forecasting Category 3, Category 4 hurricanes at landfall, and they're both almost pretty similar now in their tracks of where they want to take Milton, which is kind of like this, which again is north of the Hurricane Center. And so again, we're not saying that the Hurricane Center is wrong. We're not. I'm not saying they're not right, they're wrong. And what I'm saying is that there's a lot of data north of their track, and so it would not shock me if that had to be adjusted. What I want to show you real quick is the 1 hour pressure readings, forecast pressure from the latest European model. You can see when it brings in Milton, here it is right here. It's slow. It's slowed down quite a bit, but watch the center of low pressure, how it goes into Clearwater and Tampa Bay. Okay. Again, the hurricane center right now is suggestive of this track going more like this. Okay. And so that's quite a bit north of that. And again, this is the latest run of the European weather model. I'll show you the GFS latest run of its model as well. Of course, I've got to reset my my views here for you real quick, but I just want you to see, because I think it's important. Look how much further north and west the GFS is, even than the European and the National Hurricane Center. So we really need to watch the northern ticks on this going forward. Okay, the bottom line is this graphic that I showed you here. It's relevant right now because I think the forecast risk for uncertainty in the track certainly needs to be on this end of the spectrum. All right, the northern shifts here worry me a little bit, and that's just because of a trough over the south central U.S. that is trending a little bit more negative, a little bit stronger. It may tug on this storm to bring it northwest a little bit, and the GFS has kind of seen that before some of the other models have, which has been the difference. Peak storm surge forecast, 8 to 12 feet from Tampa Bay, Inglewood, Bradenton, Sarasota area, Clearwater, St. Pete. Reminder that when Helene came through, it was about 6 feet. So it's possible we double it. And it's possible that this forecast goes up. I wouldn't be shocked to see 15 foot plus storm surge. This in this area here, this is really, really unprecedented. It's rare territory. It is going to bring a lot of devastation to the area. Aside from also having the wind with this is really, really concerning. If you add in the rainfall forecast here, and you can see just how much rain we're forecasting, 4 to 6 inches there along the coast, and then up a little bit further north and west where the heavier rain's normally on the northwest side of the low pressure center, which makes sense in this case. You're a 6 to 8 inch or even an 8 to 12 inch rain here in northeast Florida. Note the drastically sharp cutoffs where you're not getting almost any rain back out here across the panhandle. Rain or wind, it's going to miss it. Just misses the panhandle entirely. But you do get, listen, the storm surge works all the way down into far south Florida, where it can still be as much as 4 to 7 feet down there in Bonita Beach and this one that I'm not even going to attempt to say, Chokoloskee. But yeah, so nonetheless here, guys, that's the latest forecast here. I want to show you our forecast map. My apologies, I'm going back and forth here. This is our forecast right now on the landfall. And here's what we have. This morning, we've waffled back and forth quite a bit on, is it going to be a Category 3? Is it going to be a Category 4 when it touches land? And listen, we just don't know right now. If we were forced to swing in one direction, it's probably going to end up being a 4. We're keeping it a 3. The Hurricane Center's a 3. The model data does support a rapid weakening as the storm approaches the land. Maybe it's more hopeful than it is factual at the moment. But the bottom line is nonetheless, we need to be prepared for significant impacts expected across anywhere in the cone. And that's going to be from, regardless if your wind is 135 miles per hour or if it's 155 miles per hour, regardless, it's a sustained wind. And that combined with the storm surge and the amount of rain we're anticipating, don't get fixated on whether or not it's a 3 or a 4 as it touches land. Right now, we think it's sometime between 8 to 10 p.m. Wednesday when that happens. Albeit, like we said, the latest European model, it slowed down quite a bit. Now, what I mean by slowed down is in terms of that particular landfall or the eye-touching land, it just slowed it down by 6 or 10 hours. So we need to watch that and see if there's any validity into that forecast right now. Nonetheless, we're forecasting really pretty much probably the worst hurricane this area's ever seen, at least in our lifetimes. And I'm very concerned about what it's going to look like Thursday when the sun comes up and the storm has moved through. It'll be sobering for sure. Thoughts and prayers to the folks along the West Coast. We hope you stay safe. We hope the information from all of the industry experts and everyone trying out there put out all this wonderful information to help people prepare. Hopefully it's helped you. So if you need anything, have questions, shoot them in the comments. We'll be here to answer them for you, and we'll keep you posted.